I'm gonna have to be the most uncomfortable I've been in my entire life. Um, you know, what I mean by that is that I'm gonna be having to constantly step out of my comfort zone literally every single day in the pursuit of improving through, I guess, cinematography, filmmaking, telling a story, literally every single aspect of what I guess I'm trying to accomplish. And it's extremely difficult. I wish there was a way where I had all the answers, but that's just not the reality I live in. I'm going to have to be constantly searching for, what I want to do, but it's going to have to take my actions. And through that, I'm going to have to be so uncomfortable. I mean, I think more recently I've been trying to step out of my comfort zone just because I felt so comfortable where I was, but I just didn't feel very fulfilled. I mean, there's so many things where we think we're getting closure from what we're doing, but it's actually just a facade of the real problem, which is, I guess, complacency. It's true complacency where you're okay where you're at just because you think that it's safe. And, one thing I've been trying to highlight for myself is that if I want my goals to come true and if I want to be fulfilled in my goals, I'm literally going to have to be uncomfortable 99% of the time in my journey. Because in the moments where I'm comfortable, that's where the least amount of growth happens. When you're put in uncomfortable situations, you're forced to literally learn. Learn from your mistakes and learn from others, literally your peers. So it's like, well, I basically know nothing about getting into the film industry, making a film, nothing. Literally nothing. But through that, it's like, well, because I know nothing, it's forcing me to be uncomfortable, and because I'm uncomfortable, I'm I'm gonna learn. It's impossible for me to not be in a comfortable situation and then not learn. I'll have to be in an uncomfortable situation and then I'll learn from it. I'll always, I'll always have to be learning constantly. It's not like there's going to be a pausing moment where I'm like, oh, I'm uncomfortable, but I'm not learning, or I'm comfortable, but I'm learning. I mean, it's not every single situation where you have to be uncomfortable to learn, but you're going to have a moments of uncomfortableness in the pursuit of learning. And it's so difficult to kind of conjure up in my mind just because I think just being human, you have these ideas in your head and it's easier said than done on paper just to, say something and then execute compared to, just doing something. Constantly thinking about something all the time can be harmful because it prevents you from doing what you actually need to do, which is the genuine action. And then also through the action, you learn from it. Literally every single failure you can take away from it. You can take away from it. And also, at least you did it. I mean, there's so many people who are so caught up in the end result and what it looks like in the end, but they forget that they went through the process of making it and then failure, or they didn't get enough recognition from it. And it's something that like they really struggle with. Like they don't know, and I don't know. It's like I talk from this place where it's like I have all the answers, but I definitely don't have all the answers, and I wish I did. I wish I had all the answers, but it's just it's not the reality I live in, where it's like, well, if I want my dreams to come true, my greatest dreams to come true, I'm gonna have to be capable of taking accountability for my own actions. I heard this quote from probably some YouTuber, and I'm probably LARPing about this, but it was that the opportunities that you want aren't gonna come to you, but they have to come from you. And like what they were trying to say is that you kind of have to take advantage of all the opportunities you do have, even if you think that they're so minuscule and so insignificant. You have to kind of take it by the reins and be willing to understand that there's certain things that you're going to need to do, and you have to be willing to step out and be like, hey, I have to be willing to suffer for this or go through this type of hardship in order to, number one, learn from it, or number two, succeed from it, or both. It could be a combination of it. But I think what I'm going to have to realize in this journey is that I'm going to have to be willing to fail a multitude of times and then learn from it as a result. And I think that the first step that I've been trying to take is step out of my comfort zone. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable in every single situation. It's not just for filmmaking or just making videos in general, but it's just like maybe I can take one action in my day that can kind of propel me onto another thing. It's like everything is a growth of what you want to be. Like it's literally a conglomeration of what you want to be. If you surround yourself with people who want to be what you want to be, and if you have the same kind of, if you guys have all like the centered thoughts, you're always going to be learning from people rather than spending your time with other people who really don't have the same goals as you. I mean, it's so it's so funny, at least for me, just because I say all these things, but I have no idea how I'm going to do it. But it's still on the basis of I'm uncomfortable in this situation, even making this video, but I'm still going to make it just because I'm logging my process because I'm not willing to quit. I'm not willing to quit for the next year. I mean, I feel so driven and motivated just to, make something and research. I watched a video today about Alfred Hitchcock and, the building of shock and suspense. And it's like, well, I'm constantly building and learning, but when is the time for me to start just making? I mean, I have plenty of ideas, but I've also had my fair share of just days where I'm constantly trying to think about something, but nothing comes to my head. But then in the times where I'm not trying to think about something, the ideas just show up. And I've been caught so many times at like maybe midnight just thinking about an idea for myself, and then I can totally see it so vividly in my head, and then I fall asleep, and then I wake up the next morning. What was I thinking about? And I feel like there's been so many great artists who have had the same thing, where it's like they're just about to fall asleep, they have the best idea, and they fall asleep and they forget about it. But it's not like they're gonna linger on that forever. They'll always try to find a way to move on and keep fighting. I mean, there's every single great artist has suffered to a certain extent, and suffering isn't necessary in order to make a great work of art. But what I've noticed is that they they've been willing to fail over and over again. I mean, there's plenty of YouTubers who, have had a portfolio of posting for multiple years, and I don't have that luxury yet. But it's a sign of growth because those YouTubers who maybe made a bad video or a lower quality video, 10 years ago, they can look back on it and be like, wow, look how much I've grown. It's not something that can just happen overnight. They grew, and it took so much time and it took so much practice, and it was like, hey, I don't feel confident in this yet, but I'm able to step out of my comfort zone. I'm able to be uncomfortable for an extended amount of time in order to achieve the result that they wanted, or just you can see their growth out of it. I mean, there are so many creative people in the world. There's so many people whose voices are unheard, and there's so many people who are constantly trying to do, I guess, what I'm doing. But what am I even doing? Because I haven't released anything. It's like it's two sides of the scale. It's two sides of the scale because on one end, it's like I'm a highly ambitious person who wants to get these goals done, but on the other end, I'm just talking about it. I'm just talking about it, and there's no action. And I can make all the excuses up in the world saying like, "Oh, I don't have this camera. I don't have this light. Oh, maybe I don't have these actors. Oh, what time of the day is it? I need to shoot it this time." Like there's a billion excuses I can make, but sooner than later I'm going to have to come to terms that if I keep making excuses for myself, nothing will get done. Cuz I'm going to have to be willing to make a million low quality videos. A million. Until I can finally realize that the videos that I was making previously were a growth. They were a growth onto what was coming later. Because there's nothing that is always going to be 100% figured out. You're not going to have all the answers. I mean, as humans, we wish we had all the answers so then we can just go through life easy. But the reality is that life is never going to be easy. I mean, in anything that I'll do, even if I don't become director, filmmaker that I said I was going to be, life is going to be hard. I mean, I think that we sell the lie to ourselves that life can be easy if we just do these 5 steps. There's these videos on YouTube who is like, oh, follow these 5 steps to instantly make your life better. Well, I mean, there's two perspectives of that. Yeah, maybe these videos are to help people, but then a lot of people don't realize is that their lives are a lot better than they think. And maybe it sounds a little arrogant, but there's also some people who think that their lives are horrible, but there's other people who don't have a tomorrow. You know, that they'll die, or they might be suffering from this illness, and they might be, you know, hating tomorrow. And I don't I don't know how to feel about that. It's a slippery slope just because I don't know if tomorrow's promised. I'm acting like tomorrow's promised, but in reality it's not. So thinking about that, I can also go back to what I was originally talking about, is about the fact that I have to be uncomfortable. I literally have to be uncomfortable all the time. I don't care if it's for 5 minutes or a whole day where I feel uncomfortable. New experiences is how people grow. I mean, growth is what everybody wants to talk about because it's so significant. When you're growing in something, it's it's a time period from start to end basically that you're observing. I mean, if you look at any successful creator on YouTube, or, creator filmmaker, their first videos were crappy, but it was a process and a growth that made it so good. And it's like, well, I need to be willing to do that. And right now, my mind is telling me, no, you're comfortable where you're at. You can be complacent, you're safe, but sooner than later, burning ship, I have to jump off the plank. What decision am I going to make? Am I going to decide to stay on the burning ship, or am I going to decide to jump off? And it's like, well, success is kind of put into narrow terms just because people think that they put success on such a high pedestal where it's like, oh, if I win this, or if I get to this goal, then I realize I've made it. Well, everything is a process. You kind of have to stop and appreciate what you have already, and then be like, hey, what can I improve, or how am I going to grow from this? So, you know, that's what I really wanted to highlight for myself. Just the fact that, not everyone can get this opportunity. I'm more than blessed to have this opportunity, even just to make these videos. It's a process. I'm logging what I can do to become a filmmaker. I mean, it just takes action. And action is one of the hardest things for humans to do just because it's uncomfortable. I need to stop being so freaking uncomfortable. So, that's the video. Um, it's pretty late. I'm a little tired. I'm tired. Not a little tired. I'm very tired. So that's the video.